What is going on, YouTube? It's Cam Mac here, and I have just finished. Well, not just finished. I finished it last night, but I finished Spider-Man 2 for the PlayStation 5, and I must say this game is incredible. You definitely want to be adding it to your collection if you have not already. You definitely want to check this game out. It is phenomenal from start to finish. It is hard hitting. It is a challenge. It is everything that we want to be, minus a couple of small issues, but we'll talk about those. Overall, uh, this is a follow up to both Spider Man 1, which came out in 2018, and Miles Morales, which I believe was 2020. I think it was 2020. Anyways, it is a follow up to both those two games kind of merged into one, and um, this game will hook you in. There's no doubt about it. Once you start playing this game, you will not want to put it down. It is an awesome showcase for the power of what the PlayStation 5 actually has to offer. It takes full advantage of the controller. It is fun to play, and really what Insomniac has done is not only have they made a game that's, basically a complete masterpiece, they have now set the standard for what we should be expecting on next generation consoles. Uh, this is exactly what we deserve as gamers, is games of this actual quality and this immersion. um, it is, if you're playing through comfortably, you can probably get through it in about 20 hours, I would say, if you're just playing through at a comfortable pace. I have seen people make claims that they beat the game in 4 hours and have given it negative reviews on Metacritic because they're like, oh, it's 4 hours, 8 hours. I would caution anybody to take those with a grain of salt. I don't believe that that is reflective of what this game actually is. In fact, I would challenge those people and even say that they probably never even played the game and that they're Xbox fanboys out there trying to, you know, bring this game down a notch so that they can elevate themselves, because they are still hard done by the fact that Starfield did not perform nearly as well as what was hyped up and expected. Um, this game is totally worth the time investment. I would say it's totally worth the $70 American, $90 Canadian that we pay for it. I'm Canadian, so for me it was $90. Um, it'll hook you in, and right from the very beginning, with the first boss battle, you fight Sandman, and right from that point, it introduces the quick time events, which I love in video games. By the way, I love just like the cross between gameplay and cinematic, and this game does it very well. It does it a lot. Um, this game is challenging. You will encounter some areas that will just stress you right out, especially if you're playing on anything other than friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, where you can't even die. You can't even die when you play in that mode. You just fall down and get back up again. Or easy mode, which would be friendly mode, I believe. Um, if you're playing it on either amazing or spectacular, expect to die. I found that the enemies in this game were slightly overpowered, and I found that as I was upgrading my tech and my gadgets and my suit, where you would think you're getting stronger and you should notice that difference, I just didn't notice it. I started to feel like, okay, as I'm getting buff, so are the enemies, and it's just balancing each other out. So that was a little bit of a disappointment, especially as the game kind of went on and on and on. Um, I could have done without the MJ QuickTime events, particularly one at the very end of the game where Miles and Peter and MJ are all standing around the kitchen table at Aunt May's house, and they're basically discussing their plan of attack to take on Venom. And Miles is like, "Oh, I'll go fight these symbiotes." Peter's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna chase Venom away from the meteorite." And MJ is, "Oh, I'm gonna go get the meteorite." So of all those three characters, the one you end up playing as is MJ, and that was a disappointment. There was two previous missions that you had to play with her as, and each time I was like, "Oh, great! I get to play as Peter's girlfriend." When what I really want to be doing is playing as Spider-Man, because it's a Spider-Man game. It was a letdown. It wasn't so much where I'm gonna dock it, but if there's a third one, I really hope they leave MJ out of it and just not include her missions. That would be my hope. Which, spoiler alert, there's spoilers in this game, foreshadowing that, lots of foreshadowing in this game, and one of the things they foreshadow if you watch it is definitely Spider-Man 3. So that's something to look forward to. Um, this game gets me very excited for what's to come in the future. I'm particularly now excited to see what they do with Wolverine, because if this is what they do with Spider-Man, I wonder what they're going to do with an M-rated game based on a superhero that hasn't really been done before, at least not in any time recently. So, very excited for that. Very excited for Spider-Man 3, because there is going to be a Spider-Man 3. This game basically tells you at the very end, yes, prepare yourself for Spider-Man 3. I'm not going to get too much into the details on that, because there's one thing that terrifies me about that, but here's hoping that it doesn't happen. It could happen, but here's hoping that it doesn't. You play a good portion of the game as it's pretty evenly split between the time you spend playing as Peter and the time you spend playing as Miles. The symbiote suit, though, you don't actually get it till you're about halfway done the campaign, and then even then you lose it about 70-80% of the way in. You do get symbiote powers back, but it's not the same. It's not the same black suit that they showed in a lot of the advertisements. Like, that is a part of the game, but it's not as much as you would think based on the trailers. There's a lot of other content that they didn't show that's in the game. The story was told phenomenally, and anybody that's saying that, like, oh, the story sucked or blah blah blah, I'd love to see them. I challenge these people to write me a better story. Write me a better Spider-Man 2 story than what we got out of this, because I just don't see it. I don't see how this could have been done better. I think that the way that they brought Venom into it was done masterfully, and this is probably the best representation of Venom that we've ever seen, bar none, which is really cool and really, really awesome to be able to say that. This game does have its flaws, particularly around the bugs. Now, I myself never encountered the Spider-Man cube suit one, thank God. But I did encounter a few bugs. Like, there was some points in the game where I had to restart the missions because you got the prompts normally for L1 R1 to pull something off of a wall, but you couldn't do it. So a few bugs like that Insomniac needs to look at. But I've seen some pretty crazy ones. I've seen some online of buildings just not existing where they should, and climbing clear walls, and vehicle traffic driving over crates and all that kind of stuff. So it's not without its flaws. It's not without its bugs. Apparently, none of these existed in the or in the review copies that went out. Apparently, it was the day one patch that caused some of this stuff. So how that happened, beyond me. Insomniac, you fucked up. But there's not a lot that they did wrong with this game. This game is basically perfect, minus the fact that there are the bugs. So with the bugs, I give it a 8. However, I'm not giving it an 8 because there's so much that makes up for it. For instance, just the overall story, the gameplay, the way it hooks you in, the way you don't want to put it down once you start playing it. It's definitely worth having in your collection. It's worth having as a game to replay again in the future. It's captivating. It's amazing. If it wasn't for the bugs, I would give it a 10. So I leave it with a solid 9. Real solid 9, unfortunately. And I don't think that this is going to be a Game of the Year contender. The reason why I say that is that there's other games out there. I haven't played it, but I've heard very good things about Baldur's Gate 3, but uh, and Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and also released on October 20th, Super Mario Wonder. I think that it's going to have a hard time getting past Super Mario Wonder. I think that that game is going to be the sleeper game that ends up walking with Game of the Year this year. I never played it, but I just have this feeling Nintendo just has this thing with games where these cutesy games tend to do very well, and Super Mario Wonders is very hyped up. It's been reviewing very well, so my thoughts are that it's going to go to Super Mario Wonder. But as a strong nomination, I think that Spider-Man 2 is definitely a strong nomination for Game of the Year. And would I be surprised if it won Game of the Year? Not at all. I wouldn't be at all surprised if a lot of this stuff gets overlooked. IGN gave it an 8. I'm giving it a 9. There's been lots of other companies that have given it 10s. I don't even understand why. Well, actually, because it's too similar to the first one. And to that I say, why break a non-broken formula just to be different? Which they did. They changed some of the mechanics in the game where they changed the way you choose your gadgets. There's no longer a gadget wheel, so that's good. Everything's more easily accessed by using R1 and tapping the either triangle, square, or circle buttons. Makes it a lot easier, and there's also a parry system, which does take some getting used to. It does take a while to get the gist of it, and it's very confusing when you're surrounded by a horde of enemies and when to parry and everything. But once you get the hang of it, and you will need to get the hang of it, especially if you want to get past some of the later missions. But once you do that, once you get the flow down and everything, it becomes an awesome mechanic and very usable in the game. Other than that, I mean, I can't really share too many other thoughts on it. These are just my thoughts, my opinions, that I just want to put out there into the world. But if you really wanted my strong recommendation, I would say go out and buy this game. If you've been sitting there wondering, like, is it good? Is it worth it? Is it short? Is it too short? No, it's not too short. I think it's the good length where they made it any longer, I think that the story would have became a little bit too dragged on and a little bit too repetitive, and people would have complained about it. There's lots of side stuff to do if doing side stuff is your thing. Lots of incentive to go back and play it again, because I mean, this is definitely a game I'm going to be saving. I'm not going to be taking back to GameStop. I'm going to be keeping it in my collection, and I'm going to be replaying it, probably on ultimate difficulty, just because it's unlocked now, so I'm probably going to be giving that a go. What more to say? There's just go buy this. And if you're hearing a lot of hate on it, and I checked some of the Metacritic reviews and I thought some of them were questionable. You're not going to be beating this game in 4 or 8 hours. Like, you're just not. This game is not a game that you beat in 4 or 8 hours. Anybody that's been claiming that is, I don't believe it. I'd love to see it. And even if they did beat it in like 10 or 12 hours, that's probably because they were playing it on the easiest mode, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man mode, where you literally can't die. So there's that. Pick it up, give it a chance. If Spider-Man's not your thing, Spider-Man's not my thing either. I'm a Batman guy, and I loved this game. It had me hooked. It did something to me. I really quite enjoyed it. I think you would too. I'm new at this streaming thing too, by the way. I've literally been at this for about 3 days, so bear with me on the video content. I know a lot of what I've been posting has been very laggy and very choppy looking, and I've just been trying to fiddle around with settings, figure out what I can do, what I can't do, to capture game content and whatnot. I do have a fix though. I'm upgrading my internet. That should be done next week, so that should help me get a little bit more bitrate going, so I can upload higher quality videos that's not so laggy and choppy and whatnot. And when that's done, I'm probably gonna restream it as a playthrough. But there's tons of other games I'm going to be looking forward to playing in the meantime too. There's Mortal Kombat 1 that should probably just do my thoughts for just as the same as I'm doing for this one. And when Call of Duty drops, you best believe I'm going to be playing Call of Duty. I haven't played it since Vanguard, and even then it was very lightly, so I would say I'm in noob territory, but I'm going to do my best. I'm going to stream it, have some fun with it. That's all this is for, is just fun. Um, I'm on doctor's orders to play video games right now, so that's what I'm doing. Getting into streaming. I have a photography background, so I have already had the camera and everything, so why not make some use of it? So yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what I can do better. Honestly, that's what's going to make me improve, and I want to improve. I want to make this channel into something better. I don't know how to edit these videos and do all that kind of stuff quite yet, but it's something I'm going to get figured out. So hopefully the content looks a little bit more professional in the future. But for now, that's where I'm going to leave it. Have a good night, good day, good morning, whenever you're choosing to watch this, or whenever you get the time to watch this. Maybe you're just sitting at home on your toilet taking a poo. Who knows? If that's what you do, that's you. But yeah, definitely pick this game up. Check it out. This is a representation of what next gen has to offer us, and they have set the standard. Now every next gen game is going to be compared to this one, and it's going to be, okay, did they do as good or better than Spider-Man 2? Otherwise, no. But I'm going to give this game a 9 out of 10 based on the fact that it's buggy and it's got its glitches and it's got those flaws. You play as Mary Jane, and I don't like those missions at all. They were terrible. But I can't give it lower than a 9 because it is that incredible and it's that captivating and it just sucks you in and it does so well. So yeah, that's now where I'm going to leave it. Anyways, enjoy the rest of your night. Have a good day. And I will catch you... I'm not even sure. I might do some live streaming Mortal Kombat. Might not hear from me until Call of Duty drops. But I wish you all the best. Cheers.